I just want to start out by saying that I'm really, really, really excited about this call because I think that this is like the number one thing, if there ever was a number one thing that holds so many people back when it comes to this business, and that's just objections. And we have a number of objections that we're going to go through tonight. We want to get right into this. I appreciate the feedback that we got last week. Hopefully you guys found the call helpful and just a little bit more direct with where we're at, what we're trying to get over, and just like hot topic issues that we can work through. So to get things started, I posted in the Ignition Mission 2018 page the number 56 and the significance of that number and why that number should be so important to you. And do you know what that number is, Ams?
Do you want me to say it?
Sure.
That's the number of people that were on the call last week, right?
Yeah. That's also the highest number of attendance that we've had on these calls. And so my hope, and I'm not going to lie, my expectation for our team is that we surpass that tonight. And one of the things that we're going to start doing and being a little bit better about is helping people with setting expectations for the business, because we get a lot of big dreamers and we get a lot of, I'm going to accomplish this and I'm going to do that. And then we'll get messages down the road that are complaining that, I don't know how to prospect. I don't know how to recruit. I don't know how to overcome the cost of goods. And when we are doing these types of trainings, it's so important that you guys are live, you guys are attentive, you are in the page, you have your questions, you are taking notes, because this is the stuff that helps you guys take your business from point A to point B. So we are going to be tracking attendance on these types of things. We're going to be recording that. If you guys don't get to watching it live now, be sure tomorrow when we post the Zoom link to go in and just comment that you've watched it. Because when it comes down to one-on-ones and what we're going to be teaching our leaders, our diamonds and above, is really when it comes to one-on-one requests, for us to be able to go back and look at these calls to see if you are actively participating. Because that way we can set this level of expectation that these calls matter. You guys are committed to your business, and if you're committed to your business, then you are certainly worth us spending hours on end trying to help you strategize and get to your goals. So that is the significance of the number 56. I'm going to be tracking it throughout the evening, but hopefully we provided enough value with objection handling to get people on here. Do you have anything you want to say before we get started here, Anns?
I think it's just really exciting, honestly, that I'm seeing 65 people on tonight. I mean, that's huge. And it was so cool to watch, you guys tag your coaches in the call notes today. And I think, as you add more coaches onto your team, really the sooner that you can get them plugged in to the community. And certainly, like Jake said, we will have the recordings up, but I just really love being on live because of the community feel that you really get from it, watching it live and kind of seeing who's on the call and seeing the body language and everything like that is just, it adds this element of community. And so as if you can, whenever you possibly can to be on these calls live, I really think you'll get the most out of it that way.
Totally agree. So one of the first things that I went through as a young sales rep, I had to be about 24, 25 years old. I had a field ride, and I had a manager with me, a gentleman named Tom. And Tom taught me a lot about sales management. On one of our first calls, we went into an account, and I hit a price objection wall, and I had no idea how to handle it. So we get out of the call, and I go and I tell him, I have no idea how to overcome this objection on price. So for us at the time, we were selling essentially a $3,800 catheter. I mean, probably the only person on the call that might make sense to is Terry Marcus. But so a $3,800 catheter, and what another doctor could use was a $180 guide wire. So they could use $3,800, so $3,800, or they could spend $180. Or they could spend $180. And I go, I cannot overcome the price objection. And Tom at the time said, Do you think that you are the only one who has to overcome that objection? And the minute that he said it to me, I realized that A, I'm not alone, and B, I need to come up with a solution because I'm going to face that each and every day. So I say that to say this, for all these topics that we're going to be going through tonight, you are not alone. And if you are hearing them, I want you to embrace that and understand that we are all facing these objections, but it is our responsibility as coaches and as entrepreneurs in this space to figure out how we're going to overcome that, how we're going to respond to people. And so we are so excited to talk to you. And I see Aaron saying it's an insane different cost. Totally. I mean, it is a humongous difference in a per procedure cost. And so we had to come up with a way to overcome it. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So when you guys are nervous about selling $180, I've been there. And when I say that I face cost objection, I want to talk about it. So I've got a list, and I'm just going to get right into it. Obviously, we have Amber on the call, and then we're also so excited to welcome Bethany Swart. Bethany is absolutely smoking it in this business, has an incredible team in place, certainly has faced a lot of these, even when it comes from building a business in a small town, overcoming price, all these types of things that we're going to be talking about. So I'm really excited to hear her perspective as well tonight. You guys ready to roll? Cool. All right. So how do you guys face the first objection when it comes to my husband isn't on board? You want to start, Bethany?
Sure. I have a question though. Is this when somebody is wanting to buy a challenge pack and be in a challenge group, or is this when somebody is wanting to sign on as a coach?
Let's go both. I think those are, if you handle those a little bit differently, I'd love to hear how you handle both scenarios.
Okay. Well, this is kind of going to be my answer for several of these questions probably. But one thing that I did not talk about enough when I first started coaching was that there is a full money back guarantee. And so when I signed up with my challenge pack, my husband was actually pretty supportive because I was in kind of a crappy place. I had just had our second little one and was eating ice cream and cereal. That was about it. And I was just tired and wanting to feel like myself. And Tim, who is a Dutchman and watches his pennies just as much as any other Dutchman, was like, all right, Bethany, just do what you got to do to just start feeling like you again. Because I got to the point where like working out and stuff had been relatively easy for me to do, and I just couldn't find the motivation to start it again. So anyway, I buy my challenge pack, get going on that. He's pretty supportive of that. But when I've had clients, because he was supportive of that, when I've had clients who have just said, my husband doesn't want me spending that money or da-da-da-da, you basically can say, well, give him a month. Take a month and prove them wrong. Prove them that it is worth this, because there is that money back guarantee. And one thing that Carl said at Summit this past summer that was just something that I've kind of held on to is that he said when people sign up for a challenge pack, you want them to have one of two experiences. They can either love it and run with it and their lives are changed and they become healthier people, or they hate it and it doesn't work for them. And in that case, you still want to do everything you can to serve them and help them get their money back. Because whether or not they love the programs and they love Shakeology and all that has to offer, or whether they don't, you want them to have a positive experience. And so when people are, bringing that up, that my husband isn't supportive or he doesn't think it's worth the cost, reminding them that I am absolutely going to help them get their money back if they don't like it, or, and then just have them ask their spouse, can I have a month? Can you give me a month? Let's see what I can do with this. Let's see if I can commit, type of thing. So that's kind of from the challenger's perspective. As far as the coaching, I would say this is kind of a tricky one, because if you're really going to be a coach and you're going to decide to do this, it takes time. it definitely can be something people do on the side as kind of a hobby, but if you're actually going to pursue it, there's a lot of conversations and a lot of planning that has to be done, a lot of scheduling time, being on the same page, and then just allowing yourself, even as a couple, to fail forward and knowing that there's going to be growing pains and there's going to be some struggle, but keeping in mind why it's worth it and why you started off doing this in the first place. And also just a reminder to any of you newer coaches, I want you to know that spousal support can look very, very different, okay? You might have a spouse like Jake Kuiper who is leading team calls and just very excited to go after this full time. Or you might have a spouse like Tim Swart who is also very supportive, but I guarantee you he will not be leading a team call anytime soon, not yet. You never know, never say never, but it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But he's so supportive in the way he watches our kids. Like right now, all three of them are awake. They're in the other room, and he's doing his best to just keep them happy. And so don't compare your spousal support to anybody else's. Your spouse can be supportive in so many different ways, and it might start very small, just in your own health journey, just in allowing you time here and there to work. And it could definitely turn into something where you're more of a power couple and that spouse is more visible next to you and really getting into the business as well. So I might have gotten off topic there, Jake. I'm sorry.
No, I think that is so good.
I can't hear you. Can you guys hear him? No.
No, okay, I'll jump in. I'll
Okay.
share what I would say while he maybe tries to hop back on here. By the way, his personality, he's probably so mad right now. I'm sorry, guys. Technology. Okay, so typically when I hear that from people, or even when they say my husband's not on board, when one of the strategies, and this is going to come through in a lot of these objections that we talk about, is just to share your own story with that if you have one. And so, that was our story with Jake and I, which is hard to believe now because he's so supportive and on board. But in the beginning, when I approached him and I said, gosh, I would love to try this program, he pretty much told me, you don't need that. We have a gym membership. You just need to kind of figure out how to become more disciplined and figure it out, basically. And so I'm like, so I'll tell people, I totally understand what it's like to want to do something. Maybe your husband's not quite on board. And I'll just flat out say, I was, and I'm not saying anyone should do this. This is just my story. But when I joined, I pretty much kind of just went for it because I'm kind of stubborn, and I just decided, well, I need this. So I purchased it kind of without his blessing. Again, I don't tell people to do that, but that's just what happened for me. And, I just kind of share later, Emily said that was Donnie's response too. So I kind of just went for it. And, now we joke that was the best 100 and whatever dollars I spent ever, because it totally changed our family's life. And so, so for me, it was I kind of had to ask for forgiveness later, but then he realized, kind of like Bethany said, a month in, that he was like, wow, this has been everything, that you needed. And this community is so powerful. So from that perspective, I try to say, ask again, share that you will be committed, all of that. From a coaching perspective, honestly, for a lot of people, I feel like once the paychecks start rolling in, the husbands get on board. And so, for the same reason, that I would tell people, if your husband says you can do it, and he might be skeptical, because I think a lot of husbands are, well, this sounds really awesome, but can this actually work? And so a lot of husbands are that way. But then, gosh, once their wife is able to pay, I remember for Bethany, once she was able to pay for groceries, and then she set higher goals, and slowly but surely, she's generating this amazing income for her family. And so you can't really, argue with, wow, this works at that point. So if you do have a spouse that's not quite on board, just get to work. And eventually, like I said, as the paychecks come in, they kind of do get on board eventually, but it looks different for everyone. I'm going to see where Jake is at, you guys, to see if he's able to hop back on. I'm thinking that the problem is our internet maybe got cut off at our old house, which is where he is. And so he may be struggling with our phone connection there. But I'm just going to move us on to the next question while we wait for him. Are you on? Did I just hear?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. Oh, man. I'm going to have him call in really quick. Just a second. All right, guys. All right, we will wait. Meanwhile, this little one just comes out of bed. This is just such a night. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, Jake says okay. So, of course, I just had it pulled up. Okay, let's move on. Bethany, I'll ask you this one. When someone says, for both, and maybe we'll just apply this to both challenge group and coaching, I don't have the time. What do you say?
Yeah, I think Lift 4 pretty well takes care of that, like in and of itself. I know people have different preferences on what kind of programs they like, and Lift 4 might not be their preferred kind of workout possibly. But if their time is the big sticking point, you cannot beat 4 times a week between 30 and 40 minutes each. So I feel like that program, there's your answer. If somebody is struggling with that, give them Lift 4. Yeah. And as far as coaching, if people aren't sure if they have the time for coaching, this really is something that can be as much of a time commitment as they want it to be. It truly can be as simple as inviting a few friends. Let's say you sign up to be a discount coach and you're kind of wanting to test the waters to see if it's something you'd like to do. It's as simple as inviting a couple friends to do this with you, or a sister, or you're a parent, or whatever. And simply being in a group with them. You don't have to lead a group, but being in a group with them. For example, I allow any of my coaches who are not leading current groups, or maybe don't have huge teams yet, to add their people to my groups. And their job is to really be involved in that challenge group and lead by example, and be one-on-one encouraging whoever it is that they've invited. So I don't have to, pick out these different people and be mentoring them myself. That's my coach's responsibility. But if you've got a new coach who just kind of wants to test the waters, and they were originally a discount coach or whatever, it really can be as simple as cheering somebody on in a fit team and leading by example. When I started coaching, it probably was about 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That's all I put into it. That's it. And that started to cover my Shakeology and then started to cover groceries, and then it just kind of grew from there. Now I work much more than that, but that's not where it started. So yeah, it's a pretty flexible thing.
So hey, can I hop in real quick, Ann?
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. So hey guys, so sorry about some of the technical difficulties there. So a couple of things I wanted to make sure that I hit on, and this is going to tie in with exactly what Bethany just talked about. So for starters, when it comes, whether it's time, whether it's your husband's not on board with any of these, like the thing that I'm catching you guys talking about is like you immediately try and relate to whoever just reached out to you, whether that's coaching, whether that's challenge groups. You're meeting the customer, the potential coach, where they are at. Anytime that you can meet them and get on common ground, share something from your own story, your own experience with not having enough time, your own experience with not having your husband on board, you immediately mitigate any sort of objection. So the quicker that you can make it seem like it's just an honest conversation that you're having between two people, the better. And then the other thing that I wanted to kind of hit on real quick when it comes to time and when it comes to my husband not being on board and making a paycheck, that starts with you taking this business seriously. And there's, kind of this thought process that I'm going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 months, make sure that I've got super cute graphics, and I've got professional photos done, and I've got a neat logo, and I've got team tanks. Or you can just put your head down and start making a paycheck. And that is probably, got to shift as far as the focus right away. It's just getting to work and go in with this mindset that you're going to prove that this was a good and worthwhile investment. So I wanted to make sure that I hit those 2 points real quick. Do you have anything else that you would add as far as time, Ann? Did you hear from people that they don't have the time to do this?
I feel like Bethany covered it pretty well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but no, I think you're right. Just sharing, like your own story. And I have this whole, I had 4 kids and they were all under 4 years old. So whenever I say that to people, yeah, I started when I had, little kids. And then they're like, okay, I guess I should probably not use no time as an excuse. But really wherever you're at, you just have to, it's a choice really, I guess, to make it, if you want to do it, you just have to make the choice. And so, and we talk about how to develop discipline through that too, that you have to just make it a priority no matter what.
Okay, sorry. Again, this is driving me wild. So I want you to answer this one because I feel like you have gotten this question a number of times. What do you say when people tell you that they're not interested in network marketing and or this is a pyramid scheme?
Yeah, again, I share, and we call this the feel, felt, found method. So just talking about how you have felt, what you found, how you feel, all of that. But anyway, so when people kind of tell me I don't want to do network marketing, it's a pyramid scheme. First of all, I say I, again, completely understand because that's where I was at in the beginning, is that I did not want to be that person on social media. I didn't want to be known for selling anything, and so I'll share just how honestly, that was what kind of almost made me not do this too. So I'll talk about that. And then if it's a pyramid scheme, I'll kind of educate people and just say, it not like the whole idea of a pyramid scheme is really just the fact that you're miseducated on what a pyramid scheme maybe is. And so for any of you guys on this call who might be wondering about exactly what that is, basically a pyramid scheme is when there is someone at the top who is kind of funneling all this money, but there's not an exchange of goods or services, and there's not like a good commission structure in place that has been regulated by the law like ours has. And so it's really a scheme because the people at the top are getting money, there's no exchange of goods, and it's just long term doesn't work. The person at the bottom always gets the shaft. And so the difference between a pyramid scheme and what we do is that, with Beachbody, the person, first of all, there is obviously an exchange of goods. So we are selling good product, good services, all of that. The other part of it, though, is that just because I might be above someone else doesn't mean that I necessarily am going to make more money. You can definitely out-earn the person ahead of you if you are working harder. And I think that is something that is a huge misconception. It's like, I'm just going to get into network marketing, I'm going to make all this money. And that is not the case at all, which is why we have the binary commission structure, is that you have to build out both legs. And so just to kind of educate people on when you think about a pyramid scheme, like honestly, when I think about a pyramid scheme now, I almost think of like large corporations as more of a pyramid scheme than we are, because like, for example, Target or, big corporations, there is one CEO, there is one president. And so all of those people, there's no way that you would ever just a second, honey.
I have to go poopy.
You guys can't make this stuff up.
Oh my goodness! I'll step in there if you want to help Kate. I want to make sure that you guys, when you guys are listening to this and you're listening to Bethany and Amber talk, like put yourself in these spots, guys, because these are the questions that we get, and I want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable pivoting and not freezing, not sitting there feeling like you've got nothing else that you can do, so you just respond okay, or you just don't respond at all. We've got to be able to overcome some of these. And so asking questions is so important, relating to people, educating them. And if they decide they don't want to do it after that, that's fine. But it is still our ability to direct the conversation. And this one specifically is one that I would spend time asking questions. But Bethany, I'm going to kick it over to you. I'm sure you've gotten this in the past, but if you get someone that reaches out to you that says, I've tried Shakeology in the past and don't like it, how do you handle that objection?
Jake, did you just ask that? Did you just ask the Shakeology question?
Yeah, I've tried Shakeology in the past and don't like it.
Jack is here, so I kind of missed that. But yeah, it's a night over here too. So yeah, I've gotten that several times, and sometimes they are not open to trying it again. And if they aren't, it's a requirement of mine that if they want to be in a group, they have to sign up with a challenge pack. The great thing is, I feel like in the past 6 or 7 months, the performance line has really picked up. You're right there. The performance line has really picked up, maybe since 80-Day Obsession. I don't know when that started to like pick up more and people got more interested in it. But the performance line gives people another option if they're not into Shakeology. But I also found with a lot of people who have said, I've tried Shakeology before, I didn't like it. They're people who got a sample pack from a friend or, bought it off Swap Shop online somewhere. And nobody was telling them how to use it. Nobody was helping them figure it out, because I would say for the majority of people, they're not going to love it by the instructions of just, shaking it up with 8 ounces of water. And so you, as somebody who's in a position to help them and coach them, it's your job then to provide them with your favorite recipes. Tell them, you know what, I didn't like it either. Just shaking up with water, but this is what I did. And personally, myself, when I bought my challenge pack, I was in such a low place just emotionally, physically, mentally, all the things. And so when I got my Shakeology, it was supposed to be the cure-all for not eating ice cream all the time anymore. And I'm pretty sure there were tears probably on the third day when I tried to make it again and I hated it. And it was like, great, you know, I sunk however much amount, whatever I paid for it, into this, and I hate this stuff. And I was really, really discouraged about it. And that's when I reached out to Amber, or she checked in with me. I can't remember. She's a good coach. She probably checked in with me and said, Bethany, how's the Shakeology going? I said, well, I hate it, and really, you know, bummed about it. And she sent me recipes, and it was something that she continued to check in with me on until 2 weeks later, I found a few recipes that I loved. And that so often is so many people's experience. There's a lot of people who aren't excited about Shakeology to begin with, but they need somebody to kind of guide them through that, show them how to drink it, provide them with some recipes. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's so good, and I want to compliment what you said about the performance line too. Oftentimes, when we're selling a challenge pack, we box ourselves into thinking that we're a one-trick pony. You know, we obviously we sell the stuff that we feel most passionate about. Whatever's impacted us in some form or fashion is typically what we are recommending to clients and customers. So certainly that matters, and certainly that's going to be your most passionate sell. But don't lose sight. If you are battling somebody on Shakeology, use what Bethany was talking about in Pivot. Maybe that's Daily Sunshine. Maybe that's the performance line. We now have different avenues that we can take people. I wouldn't jump to it right away, but that's where asking questions, understanding their experience, acknowledging that you had a similar experience and giving some recommendations is so important. We have so many resources, but we have to understand where these clients are coming from before we can specifically address what they need. So I can't see anything. I'm working blind over here, but Amber, are you back on?
Yes, just.
Okay. So this is a great conversation for us because we get this a lot. What do we say to people when they say that they don't like working out at home?
Oh yeah. You don't have to work out at home. I mean, back in the day when Beachbody was just DVDs, you know, you did have to, which I think a lot of people just assume. Like, I still get questions about, you know, could I get a DVD for this program? And so first of all, I think that people have boxed in Beachbody for so long. One, because, you know, that is what we are known for, is the fact that you can work out at home. But with Beachbody On Demand, you can really work out anywhere. And so if you prefer to work out at home, that's awesome. If you prefer the gym, that works out too. And so we'll share how, you know, for Jake and I bring just wireless headphones to the gym. I push play on my phone, and I kind of look at the screen if I can't remember a move, but mostly it's really just like having a personal trainer in my ear. And so I have found that I like working out at the gym even more, and I'm getting better results than I ever did in the past working out at the gym because I actually have a plan. So with Beachbody On Demand, I mean, really there's no way that you can say, oh, I don't like working out at home, because we're not boxed into that anymore.
Amen. And that's, you know, the reality when I chat with people, I get it more often than not. That whole concept of wanting to work out from a gym, that's just my crowd of people, I suppose. And I always am pulling out Beachbody On Demand, talking about it being the Netflix of workouts. And I realize that so many people underestimate the power of the program, and they're boxed in thinking that all that you can do is, you know, use your couch and your carpet to do these workouts. So make sure when you guys are getting that objection that you explain exactly how these workouts are. I mean, they're dumbbell based. You can do a standard bench press. You can do a decline press. You could, like Joel even said, that part 2 of Lift 4 is actually an expansion that shows people how to do it in a gym. So there's a lot of moving pieces there, but we're no longer hopping on a DVD set. We're streaming everything from our phone can watch it on a TV, we can listen to it in our ears, but that should never be an objection that holds somebody back. I want to kick it back to Bethany here. I'm curious if you get this and how you handle it. I come from a small town, and I would say this as it pertains to coaching. When people are afraid that being from a small town is going to hold them back from being able to build a business.
Yeah, so when I started coaching, we were brand new to the small town we live in now. I live in a town of about 2,500 people in eastern Wisconsin. And this is Tim's hometown, actually. And I didn't know anybody. And that was actually part of the reason why I joined a challenge group, is because it was, I didn't know anybody. There was nobody to call up and say, hey, do you want to go for a run or anything like that? And so truly, I think as a coach, you can't box yourself into sharing with just people who are local, or just people who are on Instagram, or just people who are on Facebook, or just people here, there, wherever. You just need to be willing to share with whoever you're with. And so social media makes it possible for you to grow a business far outside of your small town. I was not on social media. In fact, the first conversation I had with Amber, like on the phone after I signed up to be a coach, was, I don't think I'm going to do that Instagram thing, because I wasn't going to. So, I mean, I've come leaps and bounds when you look back at that I'm on Instagram now, right? So I would say, be very open. There are going to be people in your small town who might be some of your best coaches someday. You don't even know who they are yet. There might be somebody, Ashley Oglesby, who talked on the call last week. I didn't know her. She reached out in April. She's from Amarillo, Texas, and came across me on Instagram. And I don't have a huge following, you guys. You need to understand that. I don't have a huge following. It's still hard for me to be consistent on social media. I am still very much a work in progress. But if you're committed to it, you're going to find people at Bible study that want to join you. You're going to find people at your kids' Christmas program up at school that'll want to join you. You're going to find people on Instagram. You're going to find somebody who reaches out to you on Facebook. People are going to come from everywhere. So a small town, if you're from a small town, if you're from a big town, it really doesn't matter, because the internet just kind of makes everything close. So.
Well, and that's a great pivot into our next question. Speaking of social media, and I feel like if there is anything that holds the majority of people back, and I posted about it today, it's this fear of what other people are going to think. And I think both of you guys probably have perspectives on this, so I'd love to hear from both of you. And both of you are from, that same area of Northwest Iowa, so you guys are, small town folk in and of itself, so you should have, an interesting perspective. So I'll kick it over to you, Am. When you think about, you're getting started, you're sharing your story, you're sharing your struggles, anxiety, posting pictures of working out and transformation. What do you think about when people say that their fear is of posting on social media?
Yeah, this is by far, I would say, the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle for most everyone that signs up with me. I think maybe it's because I attract a similar personality to my own. And when I started on social media, I was absolutely super nervous about it, which is maybe hard to believe now. But, I started like everyone. I had zero following. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I wanted to share. And so the way that I have gotten over it is a couple of things, I guess, and I still have to remind myself of these things when I'm nervous to post. But the one thing that I always have to remember is that first of all, it's not about me. Like, the minute that I make it about me is when I think about, oh my gosh, what would she think? Or what would he think? Or, what are they going to think about me? Will they talk about me behind my back? And so the minute that I make it about me, those thoughts creep in. But when I remember that it's not about me and it's about who I can serve in this online space, that makes me brave. And that makes me want to share my story from a really authentic place. And so, you know, for me, I think about exactly who do I want to talk to in my posts. And this also really helps me to dial in the kind of language that I use and the stuff that I talk about. So I really, you guys, am constantly posting to myself, like, before Beachbody. So I think about the mom who is maybe really struggling to become disciplined, or the mom who is so busy and so tired and, you know, fell off the bandwagon 10 million times in my journey before I really got on for good. And so I'm constantly talking to her. And when I do that, it's like I don't even think about the people, like, and I don't know about you guys, the people that get in my head are like the stupidest people that I shouldn't even worry about, right? It's like old acquaintances. You're like, what are they going to think? And it's so stupid. So when I think about who could I help by sharing my truth, that really is how I get out of my head. And I also think that, you know, we have so many people, and maybe our parents' generation and whatnot, who think, oh my gosh, social media is the devil. It's just the worst thing ever. And in my opinion, like, we kind of have a choice to make. Are we going to allow social media to become this negative spot where it is kind of the comparison game? Or are we going to be the people that step in and say, hey, I'm going to share real truth, I'm going to share encouragement, and I'm just going to love on people? And so I think that really, when it comes to being scared about posting on social media, it really comes down to you're probably being somewhat selfish and somewhat insecure. But if you can step out of yourself and step beyond what that scary thought is, you're going to realize that when you share your story authentically, like, that's really where you're going to get the opportunity to serve, and where social media actually becomes positive and a lot of fun.
And we're going to talk about this on an upcoming call here, but one of the things that you guys are probably noticing in the morning paper is my big push to remind you that 30 to 45 minutes of the day are spent working out. The other 23 and a half are spent doing all kinds of other things, whether that's being parents, whether that is busy professionals, whether that is grocery shopping, you know, all these different hobbies and interests that we have. And if we're only showing and sharing about working out, that's where maybe your sphere gets a little bit annoyed. I don't know. But what I would encourage you guys to do is just to continue to give value-add content. Be thinking about what's going on in your own world, in your own mind, the things that you're wrestling with, and just encourage people. Because that's going to open up a broader audience of people that can relate to your story. And just don't, you know, sometimes we think when we're a Beachbody coach that all we need to talk about is working out. And the more we talk about working out, the more people are going to want to work out with us. But it's kind of the opposite of that. There are a lot of Beachbody coaches out there. There are a lot of fitness professionals out there. It's making our story bigger and broader to pull more people in. And for me, at least, that opened this door for me. The way that I'm looking at Beachbody is so different than I've ever looked at it before. I look at it less as a fitness coach and more as an opportunity to really influence and impact people. And if that helps you guys, or if that helps one person listening to this tonight, it can unlock the way that you see the world and the way that you write to your sphere. And that's what I'm trying to conquer, and that's what I'm trying to help you guys do as well. Because if you look at any of the top coaches, it doesn't say anything about Beachbody in their profile. All that they're trying to do is connect with somebody on the other side of the screen. And that's where I think our team has the greatest opportunity for growth. So if that helps when you're thinking about posting on social media, I don't want to be posting bikini pictures. I don't want to be posting before and afters of my arms or my thighs or my butt. So you don't have to. It's not about that anymore. It's about being relatable, being real, and having people that are attracted to the way that you see the world. That's where you're going to start building your tribe. I'm curious, your thoughts, Bethany, kind of same sphere as Amber in some sense, coming from a place of, just wondering what people might think of you when you're first getting started.
Yeah, I mean, it was so scary for me too. Like I said, I wasn't going to have Instagram. I didn't even really know what it was, and I wasn't active on Facebook. But like Amber said, it's just getting over this hump of this isn't about me. And if I really am here to help people, I need to just get over it. I think another really important thing to remember, like Amber said, you know, sometimes this person pops into her head like an old acquaintance, and that's who she's worried about, and she doesn't know why. And it doesn't make any sense to be wasting time worrying about something like that, obviously, but you're not posting for the masses. You're not posting something so you get 500 likes. You're posting because you're writing from a very real place in hopes that you can encourage somebody or challenge somebody or just reach somebody to help somebody out. And if one person responds from that post, it's absolutely worth it. It's somebody you can help in their health journey, or somebody who might eventually become a coach. And I think like what Jake said, he's completely changed the way he looks at Beachbody. It's not just to be somebody's fitness coach. You're helping people get healthy so that they can ... What are they going to do now that you've helped them, you know, start to become the best versions of themselves? And so I think it's great advice not to be posting on health all the time. I would definitely say quality over quantity. I'm not somebody who's going to encourage you, you know, if you want to grow a following, you need to post 4 to 5 times a day. No, I mean, you're not going to see that from me. I'm not going to tell you to do that. I will say it's important for you to show up. It's important for you to continue sharing. If you're not sharing on the coaching opportunity enough or doing those call to action posts for like a challenge group or something, if you're not doing those, I would say once a week. I'm going to say once a week because that's my challenge to myself, is to do that at least once a week. But people aren't going to know that you're doing it either. And so you kind of have to find this happy medium between making sure when people look at your profile that they know this is part of who you are, but not overdoing it. And there's a whole lot of ways, you guys, to show that you're healthy and pursuing health and that it matters to you without the sports bra or the bikini transformation photos. That was something that I was very uncomfortable with when I started coaching, because kind of like Jake hit on, I'm from this very conservative community in Northwest Iowa, and I can just about imagine. My dad's a pastor. I have all of these, you know, people on Facebook that go to my dad's church, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this. There's no way. But you start thinking through some of those things, and Tim is just, my husband is such a black and white person sometimes, and he just has said, Bethany, every once in a while you need to show proof that what you're doing works, right? That's all there is to it. So however you want to show that your body is changing and becoming stronger and that you are a better mom or wife or whatever, because you're doing this, you need to show that once in a while. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, you decide for you. What does that look like for you? You have a lot of different options in that.
Well, I think that's so good, Bethany. I know Amber and I have had a couple of people with that very fear, even just having like a church-based background. And I love your perspective of, I'm trying to show that my body is changing and I'm getting stronger. And because I'm getting stronger physically, I'm also getting stronger emotionally. And because I'm getting stronger emotionally, it's got this trickle-down effect. And so I just encourage all of you guys out there to look at it like that as well. We do need to show proof of the product in that the product works. Because a lot of times we focus on the Shakeology side of it, and that's great. We post a picture with our shake, but we have to show proof that the product works. And that doesn't necessarily mean depletion days. That doesn't mean running your body ragged to try and get certain types of results. If you guys have heard my spiel, I'm all about sustainability. I have a beer or two every single night. That doesn't change, even if it's shred week, because I want the people that are working with our family to realize it's not about getting these insane results and being able to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. It's about building sustainable habits that you can pass along to your children, that you can enjoy with your friends, that you can enjoy your life, and like you said, you can feel stronger physically and emotionally. So for those of you that have held out for this call, I want to reward you with probably the number one topic, and I'm really excited just to chat about this as we wrap up, but I want to talk cost. I purposely put this at the end. If you guys have listened through this entire thing, hopefully this gives you some good feedback. This is probably number 1 or 2 as it pertains to getting started, and that is the fear of cost. So, and when you get somebody that messages you that it just costs too much, where do you go?
Oh man, this one took me a while to get comfortable with, because I just think I needed a little bit of a different perspective on it. So I was cool selling the workouts for a while. Like, that was comfortable to me. I got a little bit hung up though when I would want to sell the challenge pack, because Shakeology is expensive and whatever. And so then I kind of had to do this I don't know, I just had this discussion with myself of like, why do I feel like it's not okay to be excited about the whole package? Like, why would I not offer the full package? What's holding me back? And I realized that I just really had to change my thought process on the fact of, so what I would do is I would look at my groups and I would look at the people who had a lot of success, and then I would look at the people who struggled. And more often than not, the people who struggled and didn't stay on the journey or couldn't give up a lot of the junk food were not using the nutritional products. And so time and time again, the people that weren't using Shakeology would struggle, and they wouldn't get the best as good of results, or the performance line, whatever it was. And so in my heart of hearts, I know that the best option for any person that comes into my boot camp, my top recommendation is going to be the more expensive package. And so, first of all, I do openly talk about that. I always lead with, like, I don't really give people another option. I lead with the workouts plus Shakeology, or the performance line, because I believe in it. But if they come back and they're like, I just don't know, can I just do the workouts? Because I think that's one that we all get a lot, right? Like, okay, so I see that package. Could I just get the workouts? And so, oh, that's crazy. Kara just said, of all the packs I've sold, I've had only one person get results without nutritional products in 2.5 years. That's crazy. See, it's so true. So, so can I just get the workouts? And so I will tell them that. I'll just go through kind of that whole thought process with them. Like, you can just get the workouts. However, and then what I do from there is I kind of break it down for them. I say, you can just get the workouts. The reason that I suggested this package for you is because, one, it is the best value. And I know that if you have, let's say Shakeology plus the workouts, you are going to get, you're just going to have a better chance at success. But I said, let me just break down this cost for you. So just so you know, a whole entire year of Beachbody On Demand is about $99. And so that's what you'd be looking at if you wanted to do the workouts. The best price for the workouts would be $99 for a whole year. A month of Shakeology is $130. And so that is what you would pay if you were to just get Shakeology. When you couple them together, essentially you're getting, a really good deal for $100. Let's say it's the 160 all access challenge pack. For $160, you're saving a lot of money. You're essentially getting an entire year of workouts for $30. You're saving a lot on Shakeology. So I kind of just break it down for them. And a lot of times, I'm someone that I just appreciate that honesty, and I appreciate knowing, there is an option, but this is why I would suggest that for you. And if at the end of all of that, they're like, okay, I guess I think, like, I see what you're saying, but I just don't think it's in my budget. I'm just going to go with the workouts. You have to still consider that a win. Okay. A lot of times people will come to me and they're like, I'm so discouraged. Like, I have no success points because everyone's buying just the workouts. And that does kind of suck for a minute, because you want them to have everything else. But at the same time, getting their foot in the door is so cool too, because what a lot of times will happen is if you have someone that starts with just the workouts, and they see everyone else in the group drinking Shakeology, more often than not, the minute they get sore or tired, they're going to be ordering Shakeology or the performance line. So with that, I kind of share the whole price, but then also remind them, the other thing that I tell people is it's an investment in you. Like, what else? And I just say, I found that this is the best money I spend every month. It is, a chunk of our budget. but it's the best money I spend because it's an investment in me, you know, in our overall health. So that's kind of a few of the angles. I could probably go on and on, but those are probably my most frequent ones that I get.
Well, and the other thing to consider is you do have, and Bethany talked about this too earlier in the call, but you do have that bottom of the bag guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, you know, dealing with cost in any regard there, they can try these products. If they're not satisfied with them, they can always send them back. I love guarantees. Guarantees are great. The majority of people do not take you up on guarantees, but it's a great thing to throw out there. You kind of touched on it real quick, Ann, and just, again, going back to relating with people. I posted this a couple of weeks, or probably maybe last week, in the Ignition Mission page. One of my favorite things to say to people is, that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about. So, and that for me plays out a little bit easier in the hospital than this, because, you know, you send them the information and they send you back. So your easiest response really with a lot of these objections is to say, that's exactly what I thought too. And so maybe that's what we start using for some of this stuff, because when it comes down to cost, that's exactly what I thought too. When it comes to, I don't have the time, that's exactly what I thought too. It's this immediate way to suspend the objection and get you focused on being able to, you know, transition to whatever of those options that Ann just gave you. Like, you have the ability now to have another conversation instead of going down the rabbit hole of where we go. Like, as sales reps, the biggest problem that we make is we make all these assumptions of people. So take the time to acknowledge that you thought the exact same thing. That's exactly what I thought too. And then pivot. Instead of going down a deep tangent, ask a question, give a guarantee, whatever it is, but I don't know about breaking it down dramatically down by the day. I know that was a suggestion that came up. That's a lot of explaining to people, and I think you can get past that by just acknowledging that you thought of that too. And really, when you think about it and you break it down like this, you know, you're investing in yourself and whatever. Bethany, I'm curious to get your thoughts when you get a cost or a price objection. Where do you take the conversation?
Yeah, so this happens a lot with Shakeology, and I feel like I can relate with that so well, because I remember when I was looking at it, people would talk oftentimes, even after like I started doing it, I still would roll my eyes at this, but they would just compare, you know, your daily Starbucks run with the cost of Shakeology and how this is so much healthier for you than your Starbucks and it's cheaper and da da da. But I was coming from a place where we didn't have a Starbucks budget. And so when people are trying to tell me that, oh, you know, just swap out the two, your Starbucks with your Shakeology, that meant nothing to me, because that wasn't money we were spending to begin with. And so I really had to figure out, if I wanted to drink this, how is this actually going to change what we're spending and what we're buying and whatnot. And what I found for us is a lot of just like the convenient snack food type items that I would just randomly throw in my cart every shopping trip, or some of the convenience type lunch things. We stopped buying a lot of those, because Shakeology is something that Tim drinks every day now. Our kids usually drink it most afternoons. They'll split one. And so it doubles as a snack, but it also works as a vitamin. And I tell people this all the time, like, your quality multivitamins, your quality probiotics, you're going to spend money on that. If you're just going to go buy those at Walmart, you're probably getting something that really isn't doing anything for your body anyway. There's a lot of synthetic fillers, and your body can't use all that nutrients anyway. And so when you take into consideration the things that you might buy and just stock your cupboards with now for fast snacks or lunches, your multivitamins, your probiotics, when you look at all of that, it's really going to help, for us anyway, that justified the cost. The Starbucks didn't work for me, but going through our cupboards and looking at the vitamins and the nutrients that were actually vitamins and nutrients that our bodies were going to use, and not, you know, just you can't use, you know, a lot of them, that type of thing, it became very worth it to us.
I love that. And it's this whole focus on, I always tell people the greatest asset that you have is your health. And that's exactly what you're speaking to. I mean, it's invaluable to us. We can add years to our life by taking care of our bodies now. So I appreciate that perspective. I think it's a different one and just a good reminder, because we think big city, a lot of us big city folk, we run to Starbucks. And I even said that the other day that, Starbucks, even in our family, wasn't really in the discussion at all, because we still go and buy Starbucks. And when you start breaking down how much you spend at Starbucks, you start realizing that, if I really wanted to, I could go to Target and I could buy an $8 thing of coffee grounds that I could make for the rest of the week. But the $3-4 that I spent on whatever the drink I bought didn't affect me at all. I didn't think twice about it. And so if we're even when we go there, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that there's this kind of notion that whatever we believe in, however much money we would spend, that's how we speak about it to other people. So when we start thinking that it's expensive or Shakeology is expensive to us, we assume that it's expensive to somebody else. So we just immediately jump to that in our conversations with people, and we start rationalizing price when they're pulling out the credit card in their back pocket. It didn't matter to them. So I want to make sure that as you guys are thinking about cost, that it's not this hypothetical fear. I want you guys to, if people are going to tell you it, then we need to address it. But if they're not even bringing up costs, then don't be going to the low value option or trying to just sell them beach bars or just giving them, here's your cheapest option would just be to do BOD for a year. Give people the opportunity to tell you yes or no. Don't make that assumption for them. And I think every single thing that we covered tonight are what you guys are hearing. Is there anything else as it pertains to questions, objections, anything that you want to leave people with, Amber?
Well, I wanted to highlight one comment by Aaron Trier here, just about how much value there is in nutrition support. Aaron, could you pop on really quick and talk about that a minute?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
For me personally, I've really tried to kind of step out of my comfort zone and have more local conversations with our market here. For those of you guys that don't know our story, we moved to Park City, Utah last year, and this market is really intimidating, to be honest. It's ultra athletes everywhere. Everybody's starting a gym. Everybody has their own program. Everybody has just some next generation fitness something, but no one has nutrition support, guys. Nobody. And it's fascinating to hear that kind of feedback, because what we can offer through literally just investing in our amazing products with the around the clock nutrition support and the menus and all the stuff that Amber and Jake continue to work on with Monica to offer to all of our customers, clients, coaches, etc. It's just tremendous. And as someone who has worked with a nutritionist in my past, it is astronomical to work with somebody one-on-one to come up with a nutrition plan. And so the fact that we can really make this a sustainable habit for people with what we offer for such a cost-effective price, it's really something to think about presenting more. I've really been trying to dive harder into the nutrition side, because literally that's where it's at. Nobody has this kind of cost-effective nutrition support from everything that I continue to research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's so true. The more we can talk about that, and just remember we do have something really rare. Plus, the truth is, you guys, we make a little bit of money from our workouts, but the bulk of our money does come from our nutritional products too.
Well, and we were talking about this earlier today, Ams, that we were trying to figure out what was the best angle to go as everybody else did these big flash sales. And the conversation that we went right back to is, you guys need to feel really confident with this, that we don't need to be throwing out $15, $20, $25 gift cards in order to justify the value. Just as Aaron just said, our value is Take Back the Kitchen. It's Take Back the Lunchbox. It's the fact that you get to work with a registered dietitian and you don't got to pay for it. She's going to give you this recipe guide. You guys, I don't know how many of you use this, but you literally have an 8-week plan for Live 4. And we did this whole thing. We did a 6-week plan for Sweat Well Spent. And you've got 80 days with 80-day obsession. If you're not using that as your value add driver when people are telling you it costs too much, to Aaron's point, and, Amber stressing, I'm glad you brought that up. I can't see anything, but that is such a powerful value add. And so when we were talking about it tonight, I was like, look, I think we lead with the value that we have. It's a differentiator. We're the only team in all of Beachbody that offers that nutritional support and guidance when it comes to meal prep. So make sure that you guys are always driving that conversation back. If you are on the fringe of closing down something, make sure you're throwing that in as kind of like a final value add. Maybe that can be the tipping point that gets them to purchase a challenge pack. Because, hey, if you sign up today, I'll throw in a month's worth of recipes and meal plans. That's what Take Back the Kitchen was designed to do. It was not to be a single standing, you only can do nutrition or you can only do workouts. The best coaches are going to be the ones that learn how to merge the two and use the two and leverage the two to advance their business. Anything else that you'd add, Ams?
No, I would say toss it to Bethany.
Bethany, what you got for us?
I don't know if I have much, but I was just going to say, Amber was talking about how, so for so many people, it's easier just to sell the BOD, just the subscription. But I would tell you not to be afraid to require somebody to buy a challenge pack or have a home direct order of the performance line or Shakeology, some kind of investment in your group that causes them to be just a little bit more committed. Because what I found in the beginning when I started coaching, I just wanted people to join my group. And so if they bought the 21-day fix DVDs at a garage sale, great. Come on in, join my group. But what I found was the commitment level stunk. And people, this was even more dangerous, I felt. People would go and spread the word that these programs really just didn't work. And because of that, because I wasn't requiring, okay, I'm the coach, this is what you need to do if you want this to work, because I wasn't leading them a little bit more strongly and saying, all right, if you want to be in this group, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. You need to trust me, so you're going to get these results. People just decided that they didn't really work, and they would spread the word that these programs weren't really that great. They didn't get that great of results. When it wasn't the programs, it wasn't any of that. It was just their lack of commitment and actually following through and doing what they needed to do. So if you're a newer coach and you're just wanting people to get in your group, because I know what that feels like, I was there, don't be afraid to require people to have something invested. And then what I do is I just let people know after that initial purchase of their challenge pack, they're not required to continue to buy anything month after month after month if they don't want to. They're still able to be in that group for the accountability, but it's their choice later on if they want to continue with that purchase. And usually that just eases off the pressure enough that they're ready to commit to that program all in for a month or for 2 months, however long the program is, with their Shakeology or with their performance line, so they have a solid of enough experience that they're going to speak positively about it.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank both of you guys for being a part of this tonight. I hope it was helpful for everybody that listened to this. If there's anything that I noticed with Bethany and Amber, it's just pure confidence. And being confident in what you have to offer is of value to people. So if you leave with nothing else, just be confident. We're all dealing with this stuff, going back to the first example that I gave, trying to sell a $3,800 catheter when they could spend $180 and get probably a similar result. You have got to be confident that what you have, and you have to realize that we're all facing the exact same objections. So I've gotten a couple messages from people already as far as topics that they would like us to discuss on this. If you guys have questions, we're going to be posting the Zoom link. So be sure to comment in those and make sure that we'll make sure that we get back and we address them, whether myself, Amber, or Bethany. And then if you guys have topics, areas that you're really struggling with in this that we can address over a call and help you guys take your business to the next level, just send Amber or myself a message, and we'll be sure to put it on our list of topics. Anyway, thanks for joining us for the fire starter, and look forward to seeing you guys next Monday.